Are you optimistic on the future? And does that waver at times?
I believe in creativity. I believe we're up against some real tipping points, and I believe we have some real devils in our midst that are doing us a big favor because they're teaching us a lot and they're showing us a lot. I'm optimistic on a big perspective because when I look at the universe, I see nothing but beauty and harmony, and everything that looks destructive is actually creative, right? When a star explodes, it's a massive supernova, for example, but it turns into a black hole that sucks everything in for millions of miles and creates a new star, which becomes a white hole and gives birth to new life. Life and death feed on each other. Life and death are really what I call names for two halves of a circle. You take a circle, cut it in half, call one life, call one death, and they make the circle of wholeness, completeness, of life, of experience. So the biggest thing that people are afraid of is death, but death is necessary. If nothing died, we'd have no topsoil, which means we'd have no food and we'd have no nature. And we wouldn't even be here with each other. We'd all just be thought forms. So I think death is important because it keeps us honest about what we're willing to live for and what we're willing to do to protect life. And when we become conscious, we minimize unnecessary death, but we also support death that is necessary. For example, things have to die in nature in order to feed the soil and to make it go. People have to die to make room for other souls to come have an experience on planet Earth. So spiritually, having done hundreds of shamanic medicine journeys in which I've even had the experience of dying multiple times or being in so deep I never knew I'd return. I didn't even know who I was or what I was. I was just in pure, unadulterated awareness. And some of these things were, I mean, I've done medicine ceremonies so scary that even as an 82nd Airborne Division paratrooper, I found myself curled into the fetal position crying for my mother because I was so deep into the abyss of God that I had no sense of what direction was home. I was so expanded and so gone, yet paradoxically more awake than I've ever been. I've come to realize that the universe ultimately is deeply loving and celebrates life with each and every one of us, and that all of us are the co-creators of an amazing divine drama. You know, a play, a dance, a musical, and that God is a tremendous artist that's so honest that God will light its own art on fire with the intention of just making something even more beautiful next time. I think my biggest concern is that we have people like Bill Gates and others that have so much money to be made and profit so much on controlling people and manipulating people through the media that our big challenge is they have drugged us with instant gratification, numbing television, and a lot of pacifiers that we're not going to be able to regain our control back from them until we're ready to wean ourselves off of our pacifiers. Whether we can do that or not quick enough concerns me deeply because they've become masters of addicting people. And I define an addiction as any repeated behavior that does not produce the results you want. And we have a lot of repeated behaviors that are not producing the results we want, nor are they good for nature. So it's really sort of an interesting, we're all on a shamanic journey together. We're deep in. And some of us are on bad drugs, and some of us are on good drugs, and some of us are on fear, and some of us are on adrenaline, and some of us are on the illusion that there's nothing to be worried about. But having been down that river and been a paratrooper and done wild and racing motocross, racing stock cars, drag racing, riding in the rodeo. I mean, I've been out there and I've been unconscious for days at a time from motorcycle accidents and never knew I'd come back. So I say, it's a great time. And the worst thing that'll happen is you'll die and we'll say, let's do something better. And my concern is I just want my kids and all the young people to have a chance to live like I've had and like you've had. And I don't want them to live as robots or as control bots or as, I don't want them to be animals in a cage. I don't want them to live with fake education and corporate religion and brainwashing. My dream is that our children get to come here and enter into the school of life to really explore what their genius is so that they feel free to fully engage the challenges of life out of love. I tell people, if you really spend your life doing what you love to do, then even your darkest challenges are still a labor of love, which is sustainable. And there's challenges in the creation of anything meaningful in life, from a relationship to a product, to a business, to a church, or whatever. But if you're not doing what you love to do, you're just doing what you think you have to do or what you've been programmed to do, then there's no love there. So it's just labor. And labor isn't sustainable without love. It just isn't, which is, you know, Arnold Schwarzenegger gave a talk that I saw on YouTube, and he quoted research out of Europe and out of the United States. And he said surveys in Europe showed that 70% of people said not only that they didn't like their job, they hated their job. In the United States, I think he said it was 75% said they hated their job. Well, no wonder we have so much drug addiction. No wonder we have so much pacification with television and media. And we, you know, when people don't like the world they are in, they gravitate towards substances that create an alternate reality. Like getting stoned gives you an alternate reality. Getting drunk, you're in an alternate reality. Eating a pile of sugar takes you into an alternate reality. Getting lost in your television screen with a movie or a comedy or whatever takes you into an alternate reality. But what's happened is we've all become so stressed and confused about the real meaning of life and our life and relationships that we're numbing ourselves out with alternate realities, while at the same time we're not paying attention to the fact that the plants need water, the animals need food, and we got to stop pooping in our own backyard, kind of metaphor, poisoning our own soil and our own air. So really, I think we all need a deep healing, a deep cleansing, and a deep reconnection. And I envision that if we don't do it on our own accord, Mother Earth is going to create a series of events so catastrophic that we will have to drop all religious, ethical, moral, anything that separates from these, and it's going to be all hands on deck, or the death toll will be catastrophic. And as sad as it is, I think the COVID thing gave us an opportunity to see what it's like to have to stand up for each other and to decide, am I going to believe in the very people that have been lying to us forever and be a gullible little person that doesn't look into both sides of the argument? Am I just going to let people poke me with needles? I'm going to let people take everything I say off the internet if I challenge authority? Or am I going to wake up and say, we got a big problem here? So I think the COVID gave us our first little booster shot. And Mother Earth is saying, this is what you've called forth. Pay attention, because the school of hard knocks is real. If you get your shit together now and start participating in becoming adults together, and stop making silly excuses and burying your head in the sand and eating and drinking and drugging and video gaming yourself and pornographying yourself to death, then if you're going to keep doing that, then I'm going to have to give you a more potent wake-up call. But if you start participating in life and realizing what supports you, and that's what relationships are. Relationships are really what support us. And we've forgotten about the most important relationships, which is our relationships to the earth, our relationships to nature, and our relationships to others, even when we can't see them.